98.7 FM, Arizona's sports station. Bickley Blast.
The Suns made a lot of money last year. They make a lot of money every year. They've sold a lot of playoff tickets in the past 2 seasons. They've sold a lot of sponsorships, and they have sold a ton of merchandise. Annual profits have been very important to them. They're silver and gold lining to seasons that haven't ended well. But now comes a different fork in the road. Will ownership go deep into the luxury tax to win a championship, to retain Deandre Ayton and Cam Johnson? And just who is that owner going to be? Last week, news broke that Robert Sarver resigned from his leading role at Western Alliance Bank after he was cited for being a reputational risk and a potential harm to the business. Some wonder if his resignation from the Suns is right around the corner, and if a new majority owner might bring in more money to spend, like former Disney CEO Bob Iger, for instance. I mean, let's not forget this. Deandre Ayton has a spectacular ceiling. We've all seen it. For all his island time intensity and video game addictions, he's gotten better every year. Why wouldn't you invest in him? Unfortunately, I've got very little hope of Ayton remaining in Phoenix because of money and not because of perceived weakness. And I think in the end, the Suns will go searching for reasons to not pay him. There's a risk here because the Suns need more, not less. They need another scoring juggernaut, and they need to decide whether it's Ayton or some other dramatic move. But saving on Ayton to spend more moderately on more players isn't the answer, because you don't win championships with role players or more guys like Torrey Craig, Landry Shamet, and Cam Payne.
Watching these games and stuff, you just kept thinking to myself, damn, we need a bucket. Damn, we need a bucket. But we just kept getting stops. And that man over there, Deandre Ayton, he's going to get him a bag this summer. He's going to get him a bag, and he's showing everybody right now during the playoffs why.
That was 11 months ago.
Wow.
After the Suns disposed of the Los Angeles Clippers in the Western Conference Finals before they took on the Milwaukee Bucks in the final.
In 11 months, the post-game comments went from that to...
It's internal.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite in 11 months.
Yeah. So, and really, this is one of the focal points is exactly why did DA break bad, if he did indeed break bad. Why? What would cause it after he was such a good, to quote his agent, soldier the way he was? To hear Bill Duffy, a reputable agent in sports, who, by the way, also represents Pat Bev, who I did not know. Yeah. I did not know that. For him to come out and say how disappointed he was, I don't think, you read the tea leaves, I don't think it's heading in a promising direction. They better get this one right.
Well, they better, and they kind of put themselves into a bit of a corner on all of this. Mm-hmm. And we were all in agreement last year, and Chris Paul was obviously in that category too, that Deandre Ayton deserved his extension. They opted not to go there. Now, had he got his extension, would this season have ended the same way? It's impossible to say, but Deandre Ayton's behavior in Game 7 was kind of, it kind of had all of the trappings of, I'm just fed up with this.
Yeah.
I did everything they asked me to do for the full year.
And they're still blaming me.
And now they're pointing the finger at me because I didn't close out on a 3 or down 35 points.
Right.
Screw this.
Right.
That's kind of what it felt like.
Exactly. Exactly. And so I want to believe that it was a symptomatic result of a series that just went totally wrong. And that's what I'm hoping it was. I'm hoping, because again, this ownership piece with Robert Sarver, this thing's got to get resolved. The NBA owes it to this franchise to resolve this. They've got an off season they've got to get through.
But does the NBA recognize that they want to get it right, or they want to get it done quick?
Yeah.
This investigation's been going on since when, November?
Listen, I was told, and I've got some good sources on this, I was told that this thing was going to be wrapped up at All-Star break. And it went longer because, according to my sources, that there was a lot of corroboration to do from that stuff in the ESPN report, and that the investigation expanded, meaning more stuff came out. But if it's only he said, she said, or he said stuff, where does that get you? So this has got to be resolved in the very near future. And again, the reports that came out last week about Robert Sarver and his relationship to a bank that he formed and made incredibly successful, it kind of lent a thing to this. And maybe there's a theory here. Maybe the NBA has informed Robert Sarver that, okay, you're still going to be in charge here. And maybe DA, okay, I'm not getting my money then. That's obvious. Maybe DA has put all his hopes on getting a deal here based on a change in ownership.
Maybe.
Because it was Robert Sarver who chose not to pay him last time. That's inarguable. That was an ownership decision. Because why else would you not reward him and pay Landry Shamet and pay Mikal Bridges and do all that stuff?
Well, it's a question that went unanswered, and now the question is even heavier than it was last summer on Deandre Ayton, because you're in jeopardy, and I don't think it's major jeopardy. You're in jeopardy of losing him for nothing. I don't think the Suns will ever let that happen, but people are kind of reflecting on Monty Williams' comments about Deandre Ayton's contract situation, including Brian Windhorst and Tim McMahon, also on the Hoop Collective podcast.
I would say he termed it, "I don't know what's going to happen," which may seem like just a way to get off the question, but it's not normally what you hear. You always hear about a free agent. Oh, we hope to have him back. We hope that it works out.
Man, I've loved coaching him. I know last night was tough, but he's been great there was none of that.
All right, so people are speculating teams will line up to make the restricted free agent offer to Deandre Ayton in hopes of wrestling him away from the Suns. If it comes to a sign and trade situation, how many teams would be interested in trading for Deandre Ayton? Ryan Russillo tackled that on the Bill Simmons podcast.
Never underestimate. It's kind of like the quarterback transaction thing. Like, there are times teams bring in a quarterback and you're like, oh, are you really excited about that guy? Well, tell me who you've been at the position for 5 or 7 years. All right? And
the Kirk Cousins corollary.
Right. So if you've been an NBA team for a bunch of years here where there hasn't really been anything that's all that exciting, and you're adding Ayton at his age, and you're going, whatever, 4 years, it's still a coin toss with some of the draft picks, the further on you get down, I'd probably lean towards doing it, but I think that this conversation would have seemed like a layup 12 months ago, where now there's more questions, which tells me that maybe now is not the time to do it, because a year ago, I don't even think we would debate this stuff, and I still think he's young enough to have that feeling that we had in 2021 about it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
He's 23 years old.
I know. And the ceiling is so spectacularly high, and he touches it every now and again. And it's if you believe you can shift your philosophy and forego the rhythm of the offense for 3 to 4 possessions a quarter and commit yourself to pounding the ball to him and let him cook, and if you're convinced he can handle it, and look, we saw Deandre Ayton for a stretch of basketball against the Pelicans. He was freaking automatic.
Mm-hmm. His first quarters were like
legendary.
Automatic, just like you said. If he got it within, 5-6 feet of the basket, boom, 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 boom.
Baby hooks, fadeaway, spin moves, whatever you want, except for the dunks.
Floaters,
which is what I wanted. Floaters,
no dunks.
Right? But then there was some of the daffiness again. Listen, you can talk yourself out of it. You can talk yourself out of anything, especially when it costs a big chunk of money. But if you're going to do that, you got to find a way to bring back something substantial, and I don't know if the odds are in their favor of doing it. I think teams would call the Suns bluff on that. Okay, you want to match it? Keep them. Have fun with it.
Yeah,